Alright folks, we're back out here on this beaver job. I've gone down to the dam. I've got a game camera set down there and nothing showed up on my game camera, and there was a fair amount of water moving over the dam after we've had some heavy rain, so I figured I would have got a beaver or two on the camera, but nothing. So are they even still here? I got to figure that out. That's what I'm out here doing, and did a little bit of a scout. Spent some time scouting around, but I'm going to move. We'll get to that, but I'm going to move this game camera. In the past, you've seen I was working this spot pretty heavily. We caught a beaver back in that away, and we're catching muskrats down here. So I put up the game camera up here on this tree, and I'll be moving that. You watched my previous video, found a run coming out of this lodge, and you stuck a trap right in it. And I mean, doesn't seem like it could get much better than that, but here we are, 9 days in, 3 72-hour checks, and I mean, I'm standing right in it, and my trap is empty. I had pretty high hopes for that spot there. I just can't catch anything out here right now. It's, trap shy beavers. But anyhow, I was standing out. So this is the creek, the main creek. This is pretty deep. I mean, this is right up to my hip waders. I've got to balance on sticks and such just to get up in there. And I had a trap here. I caught one beaver, 2 beavers out of this spot. 1 beaver just downstream of here, and 1 beaver on the back side of the lodge, for a total of 4. So this seems to be their main entry and exit for their lodge. Well, I set a beaver trap there last time I was out here, and I didn't catch anything. And they were still around. I don't know why. I mean, they must know what a trap looks like, smells like, tastes like. Who knows? But I just can't seem to catch anything anymore. So I question if the beavers are even here again. They did come back. They rebuilt their dam. I did put a notch in it as soon as I got back out here just to stir them up. And then I just re-notched it. When I was out here on these sticks, and I hear something splashing around in the water on that side of the beaver lodge. And I'm telling you, I've got one hand on a tree, and I'm standing on a real unstable limb, branch, whatever, a stick under there, green stick. And I mean, this thing's probably about 15 yards from me, but I can't quite make out what it is. It's brown, and it's diving underwater, and here I am standing right next to a beaver lodge. And I know beavers are rather territorial, and they can get aggressive. I've only had 1 beaver get aggressive with me, and it did lunge at me. Luckily, I had a cage trap in my hands, and I was able to block it. And you can YouTube. There was a gentleman, I think in Russia, that actually got attacked by a beaver, and it killed him. Apparently bit into his femoral artery, and he bled out. He was out in the middle of nowhere, like I am. I wouldn't be able to make it up the hill if that happened to me. I wouldn't have enough time. But anyway, this thing's over here splashing around, and I don't have my pistol on me. I don't like taking it out into the beaver swamps and getting it all muddy and wet. Left on the other side of the beaver lodge, I pull out my machete, and I'm watching through the trees. What is this thing? And it went that way. Luckily, just a fair glimpse at them as they're going through the trees here, and there's just a couple of river otters coming through. Started honking at each other. Kind of make. Anyway, I don't know how these beavers are coming in and out of this lodge, and I don't know how I'm going to trap them if they know what a trap is and they're just avoiding them. They're not going down the normal ways they were going before, so I've got to adjust my area of impact here. But as I was coming down in here to check these traps, I was looking through the brush back this way. Grab my sled here. And I noticed some bright white sticks back in the brush there. Back that way. Yeah, back in there. So I went back there. I pushed through that brush. I wasn't going to take you guys with me with this camera. It's pretty thick, as you can see. And it seems as though the beavers aren't using the creek as a main access, going up and down. And if you watched my previous videos, you'd remember there were these sections of bridge that had been washed out. Well, seems like the beavers are going up and down that way. Let me just show you here what I saw, if you can see it. Right back in there, there's a chew stick. It's a pretty fresh one. You can just barely make it out through the grass right there. So I went this way. Take you guys back here a little bit. I'm not going to take you on the entire trip that I made. So, this is what caught my eye. I mean, that's relatively fresh, maybe a few days old. And then I see, back that way, let's see if I can get it on camera, through that thicket, you can see some sticks that have been chewed, or some trees that have been chewed down. So I went back in there, and sure enough, there's bright white chew sticks coming through this way and going up that way and around. So I followed them because like Steve Miller says from Coon Creek Outdoors, I'd like to give a shout out to him. I have learned so much from watching his YouTube videos. He says, set on sign, which makes perfect sense. You can't catch what's not there. So he says, set on sign. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab that trap off that beaver lodge there, and I'm going to head up that way where those bridges are. I found a dive spot back in there. One back that way, one back that way, so I'm going to readjust my traps here. It's just real hard to take you guys along with me doing that. Oh, shoot, maybe I might take you along anyhow. So let's go grab that trap. Bear with me here. I mean, trap has been sitting there for 9 days. Haven't caught anything. It's kind of a waste. It's just sitting there, and I'm coming out here every 3 days to check it, and there's nothing in it. And unfortunately, it's the only trap I've got down in here. And the reason is, it's just hard to pack. But where I had those other traps, I put up sticks in the mud, kind of like fencing, but I put them kind of loose in the mud, so hopefully I'd see if a beaver were to come through that run, they'd push that stick out of the way, and that would tell me that they were using that avenue, that, I don't know what, a beaver run. I can't talk too well when I'm on camera here. So I'm going to take this camera down. I need to get me a GoPro. These things are so doggone expensive though. It's hard for me to justify spending $400 some odd dollars on a little bitty camera to put on my head. But who knows? I'll get around to it, I suppose. Alright, we're going to grab this strap out of here. Ain't no sense in it just sitting here. Yeah, worthless. Just sitting there. I also noticed this chief stick here. It wasn't here before. It wasn't here a couple days ago. So it's got to be in here. It's got to be in here. I just can't locate them. Now I tell you what, if you ever want to improve your balance, get the trapping. Beaver trapping anyway. Walk around a beaver swamp for about 30 minutes a day. You'll be pretty good at balancing. These beavers must smell the rust or the iron in these traps. Let's see what happens. This is a bit a ways away from the lodge. It's kind of a shot in the dark. But, here we are. You've seen it before. We've got these sections of bridge that have washed away. And it doesn't look like it goes back very far. But it does. So you can see, it looks like they're going right through there. Ooh, and there's a drop. There's a drop in the water. That is most likely a beaver run. Why else would there be a big depression right there? It's not a creek. So this seems to be a beaver run. Again, this is kind of a ways away from the lodge, but I'm not catching anything off the lodge either. So we're going to set a trap in here, I think, and put in some dive logs. This is a narrow spot, and it opens up over there, and it's pretty thick around that way. They can't get through, and it's pretty thick around that way. It'd be tough for them to swim through that. So I'm going to stick this trap in there. You can see now the water level is usually about 2 or 3 inches higher. Since I knocked the damage off. I think that they're pretty used to diving under here. It seems pretty firm. I'm going to shove this crap in here. And there's more chew sticks right just over that way. So now that I've got that trap set there, I gotta get me a dive stick. Not much. I'm gonna have to find something better. I'm going to make a V, kind of like shooting sticks. So try to hold this log up. Got to get this log to sit right about there. All right. Hopefully that works. We're just going to put some extra sticks here. A little bit of fencing. Now I gotta get out of here without screwing it up. So anyway, I'm gonna find another heavier stick to hopefully push that one down. Or just add more sticks to it. Normally, my experience, you want to use dead sticks. You use, oh, that's a beaver. You want to use dead sticks because you start using grain sticks for your dive sticks or your fencing material, what have you. Beavers will eat them. They'll take them. Here we go. Just kind of make it a mess for them. Make it difficult for them. So they got to dive underneath there. So something like that. So that's all pretty firm mud down there. I'm really hoping this is where the beavers are coming through. Going back in there and eating. Now back by the dam, they chewed down a rather large, it seems like a cottonwood tree. And they came up within those 2 weeks that they were here and I wasn't. And they just dismantled that tree so quick. they stockpiled a bunch of it as a food source next to their lodge, which I hate, because then they don't have to come out for food. They just pop outside their lodge, grab a stick, go inside, eat it, whatever. They're just less active away from the lodge that way, and they're much more difficult to catch. So anyway, I'll be back here to check this trap in 3 days. I'm going to put up this camera somewhere, probably over on that big tree over my shoulder, just to see if they're swimming through here. I normally don't use cameras because I really like the natural sign to detect beavers, where they're at, where they're going, if they're even here. But in this case, it's just I'm just having a real hard time. So I'm using these muddy cameras. I got them from Sportsman's Warehouse. They were decently priced. I think they were like 60, maybe $70 a piece.